guys, it's Chelsea, your Sunday nerd, and this week was my theme, and I chose to talk about books because I love to read. So I'm gonna just hop right in. Okay, favorite book. This is hard for me because I read a lot, so I find a lot of books that I really like. But and I generally do like favorite book by like genre. So my favorite fantasy book is this, and my favorite, sci-fi book is this, and blah blah blah. But if I was like held at gunpoint and forced to choose, I would choose A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I read this book like almost constantly. I'm almost like I'm always reading like 3 or 4 books at one time just because I have ADD and I can't just read one. So I always am like on chapter 5 of one book, chapter 8 of another book, and all that jazz. But I'm almost always consistently reading this one, and you can see my Penguin Classics copy that I got like how many years ago. You can see how beat up it is just because I read it all the time. Like on the back, it's even look at that. Yeah, it's just really beat up, but it's just because I read it all the time. And I know it's like one of the ones you read in high school, and a lot of the nerds would say they don't like classics and blah 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 blah. I really like Charles Dickens. In fact, question number 2, favorite author, I would have to. I have a couple, but Charles Dickens is definitely on the list and very high up on that list. Um, he, I don't, even though he wrote such a long time ago, I don't find his writing to be not relatable or not understandable, and I really think that why a lot of people don't enjoy classics is because they had to like intensely study them as opposed to just read them and experience what the book is. And this book has a really good plot and a really good, and like almost all of his books do. Like who hasn't seen A Christmas Carol? And that's Charles Dickens. If you didn't know. You know, and who doesn't like the Christmas Carol? Stupid people don't like the Christmas Carol. So, A Christmas Carol actually, but yeah, I mean, even though it was such a long time ago, I mean, my view on classics is if you read them and you don't have to like investigatively like learn like what this symbol means and blah 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 blah, and if you're allowed just to experience them, then I think people would like them a lot more because I do have a very big love of the classics. Okay, favorite genre. I know I just went on about classics and Charles Dickens and all that, but I have to say I read more fantasy books than I read any other book. Like I'm looking over at my bookshelf right now. It's like fantasy. Yeah, that's it. Probably the author I read most in fantasy is a author named Tamara Pierce, and more specifically, because Tamara Pierce, she writes like a ton of books, like a lot. She's written a lot, and she's still alive, still writing. So there's always more of her stuff coming out. But she wrote a series called Circle of Magic, and I really like that series. And it's different from like, because like all of her books are set in like the same universe, so in the same world. But Circle of Magic is it's the one series that's different, and that's the one that I really like. And I have to say, I'm really dedicated to her because the next sort of volume in this whole series, there's like 3 different series within this world, the Circle of Magic. But the next one in the 3rd set of series, I've been waiting 4 years for it to come out, and it's finally coming out sometime either later this year or early beginning of next year. And I've been waiting for this book like for forever. Like I'm always looking up for detail. Finally got a name for the book, and I'm just really super excited for that book because I've been reading it since I was in junior high. The thing with Tamara Pierce is she starts out very young. Like I think she started out with a younger target audience, but as you read, especially Circle of Magic, the books they get older and older and older. The last book I think definitely was more targeted toward late teens, early 20s, kind of age range. But yeah, that's my favorite genre is fantasy. I read fantasy like more than anything. What do you like slash? Oh wait, are you an avid reader? Yes, I am. I can prove that. I read multiple books at one time, and with my Nook now, it's like way easier than ever because I'll tell you what, ebooks are way cheaper than normal books, so I can afford more. So yeah, my Nook is like full. And also, what I like about the Nook is that there are plenty of books that you can get for free that are classics. Like I got A Tale of Two Cities for free. I got Pride and Prejudice for free. I got uh, a butt ton of like just classic books that I love for free. Just because they offer them. I don't know why they're free, but they offer them for free on like the Nook store or whatever because I have a Nook. So yeah, I liked that a lot. Okay, what do you like slash not like about reading? I like how it kind of submerges you. Like you read a good book, and if it's like really, really good, you get so submerged in the text and the writing and everything. You kind of just go into your own world and you imagine everything, and you lose track of time, lose track of stuff around you, even though you're somewhat aware. If you're just immersed in a good book, it's just like the best feeling ever. I really love that feeling. The number one thing I don't like about reading is that when you're immersed in that, like time just like flies by. Good reading is definitely like a time suck. You'll like come up from a book and realize it's been 5 hours. So yeah, the time. If it took less time, if I was one of those smart people who could read like really really fast and still be immersed in the experience, I would definitely do more of it because I would have more time. Worst book you ever read? Old Man and the Sea. I know it's a classic, and I just said I really like classics, but Old Man and the Sea was awful. I don't like, or I don't really generally. Have I ever read something like? I think it was. Maybe not. It's been a while because I only read that book once, and then I was like, I'm done. It was so annoying. It was like the sentences were so short, and it was about a man who went fishing, and he almost caught a big fish, but then he didn't, and then he came home and died. It was the most boring book. And actually, the author won a Nobel Prize, or won like the no, I don't know if it was the Pulitzer. I think it was the Nobel Peace Prize for literature, but or is it the Nobel? I don't know. I'm getting my awards confused. But he won a prize for literature, note for Old Man and the Sea specifically, noting that it lacked sex and violence, and that was why he won because it lacked sex and violence and anything interesting. It was literally the most boring book I have ever read. Never read it if you don't have to. I had to read it for school, and it was awful. I hated that book so much. Okay, if you could have any book made into a movie that hasn't been already, what book would you choose? Um, I don't know if this counts because it's been filmed. They're done filming it now, but I was super excited when I heard about it. Ender's Game. And if you don't know what Ender's Game is, it is like the best sci-fi book ever written. It's so good. Like even if you don't like sci-fi, I'm convinced you would still like Ender's Game. It is so so good. I'm really super excited to see the movie version and super nervous too because I love the book so much. It's by Orson Scott Card if you want to look it up. But it's fantastic. And if you're going to get the basic plot, it's about set in the future where Earth is being invaded by these bug aliens. And so in order to fight back, they're sort of grooming these soldiers from like little children. And children are like observed when they're really really young, and they have like a chip implanted, and there's one child that they really like called Ender, and he gets selected for the special program. So he goes up into space and he goes to this like battle school where he trains to be a soldier and fight the bugs. From I think he's 10 when the book starts. And it's really good. Like it's so good. And the only reason I'm nervous about it being from the movie, it's very much like the Hunger Games in the fact that it's all told from Ender's perspective, and it's a lot of in Ender's head. Like Katniss, if you read the Hunger Games, like the majority of what you were experiencing is like Katniss's thoughts on what's happening to her, and it's the very same. It's Ender's thoughts on what's happening to him, and they managed to do it very well with the Hunger Games when they made it into a movie. So I'm hoping that it's the same sort of thing when they do Ender's Game. And also, that series is also ongoing. The author keeps writing sequels and keeps pulling me along, and I just really love it. So I'm really excited for that one. I like that one being made into a movie. Other than that, most of the books I really like are classics, and most classics have been made into movies. I would like a more modern interpretation, a more modern movie of A Tale of Two Cities with more modern actors. I mean, they just remade Les Mis. Why not A Tale of Two Cities? I would love that. I would die. A favorite movie adaptation of a book. Oh, this is hard. I would say Harry Potter. I mean, the movie series they did it very well, but I mean, there's so much in the books that isn't in the movies. I don't know if it's my favorite. Gosh, I don't know, cause I mean, the way I look at it, I see. Oh, you know what? My favorite movie adaptation is Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. Not the old TV BBC version, no, but the newer one that came out in like 2005, I think, the movie. That was really good. They added a couple of things, but basically every part that was in the book that I really loved was in the movie. So I'm gonna say that movie. But generally, when I look at movies and that have been based off of books, I try to go into it in the mindset that the movie is different from the book, because what works in a book doesn't necessarily translate to screen. Like the sequel to Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Prince Caspian, that book would have been is so hard to make into a movie because it's told mostly through flashback, and the characters that you love from the first one don't even come in the book till like the very end. So the changes that they made to that one, I really agreed with. Now, Dumb Shredder, I just see the movie completely different because it just murdered the book, and it should have stayed more true to the book, in my opinion. Because the third one wasn't, I don't think, very good, but the first one was like very, very, very good. I really liked that one. But yeah, just generally because otherwise I'd get too upset about things getting cut and everything. You just really, when I go into movies, I say the movie is one thing and the book is another, and it's gonna have probably the best aspects of the book in the movie, but they can't keep everything. So, because it just wouldn't work. It'd be a really boring movie. So, that's what I try to keep in mind. Other thoughts on reading? I really like it. I think everyone should do it. Um, I think it's good for the mind. It really spurts your imagination. It gets you immersed, and I think it's just good to I think it's like I really do think it's good for your mind. I think it just helps your mind like process. I really help like if you're little and growing to when you're an adult. I think it still helps, you know, develop your mind more because you read a book and it brings up something that you never thought about before. C.S. Lewis is very good about that. Generally, he comes from a Christian standpoint, but he brings up really good points about life and morality and things like that. If you want to read the Screwtape Letters, that was a fantastic book. C.S. Lewis is also one of my favorite authors. C.S. Lewis, Jane Austen, Charles Dickens, Tamar Pierce. The top four, three of them are very classic. One of them is all fantasy, so go figure. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, I really like what it does for your mind, and I really like experiencing books and being drawn into them and all that jazz. So that's me talking about books. I know it can go on and on and on and on because I love reading. But that's it. Thanks for watching. Tune in tomorrow to see Sam and the new theme slash challenge for the week. Love you, lovelies. Mwah.